I lived a prosperous life for 17 years. Then I was told I was not the real daughter. The real daughter came back, and suddenly, I meant nothing to my parents. Why was it always me who had to suffer? Why did I have to be driven to the brink of madness? Why? What? The real daughter is actually me. Well, it doesn't matter anymore, you're already bankrupt. I lived a prosperous life for 17 years. Then I was told I was not the real daughter. The real daughter came back, and suddenly, I meant nothing to my parents.
Why was it always me who had to suffer? Why did I have to be driven to the brink of madness? Why? What? The real daughter is actually me. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. You're already bankrupt.
David introduced her to me, and I could sense a bit of awkwardness in his demeanor.
Sophia, let me introduce you to your sister, Emily. From now on, she will be your sister. Take good care of her.
You are not our biological child, but we will still take care of you.
John and Mary were not as polite, directly stating the facts. From their tone, I could hear a hint of glee. Their well-maintained faces showed a slight regret, but it was so fake it made me sick.
Hello, sister. I am your elder sister, Sophia.
Emily responded sweetly and obediently. I caught a glimpse of gloom when she lowered her head, her hands clenched unnaturally. Mary, who was paying attention to her daughter, also noticed her unease and looked at me with concern and displeasure. Hadn't I already sensed it? I was just deceiving myself. Looking at my parents' indifferent expressions and my brother's awkwardness, I laughed. I lived a prosperous life for 17 years, then I was told I was not the real daughter. The real daughter came back, and suddenly, I meant nothing to my parents.
Why was it always me who had to suffer? Why did I have to be driven to the brink of madness? Why? What? The real daughter is actually me. Well, it doesn't matter anymore, you're already bankrupt.
The Shin family's bloodline indeed produced good looks. Emily had a pair of innocent big eyes that looked clean at first glance. Her nose was high and her lips were full and red, with a slight curve at the corners, like a blossoming peach flower. However, her hands, though slender, were somewhat rough. Even after more than 10 days of care, it was still evident that she had been through some hardships. She was not a pampered young lady. And I can confidently say that I am not the same type as her, but I am also a beauty. My long eyes give an inexplicable sense of sharpness. But this face can also easily captivate people.
Big news, we're getting a new classmate.
We're in our senior year, and there's still a new student transferring to our class?
A new student. I've been feeling bored for a while, finally some fresh blood.
In the monotonous life of senior year, a new student was undoubtedly a wave in one of the key classes of the senior year. My desk mate looked excited.
Sophia, we're getting a new classmate. I wonder if it's a boy or a girl.
I was about to speak when the familiar footsteps of the homeroom teacher approached, and the class fell silent.
Class, we have a new student. Let's give a warm welcome.
The students in their seats were already sneakily looking towards the door, hoping to catch a glimpse of the new student. Emily walked in with a smile, her straight legs looking even fairer under the school uniform skirt. The difficult and unhealthy growing environment did not make her feel inferior. Instead, she had a unique aura. Her confident self-introduction won everyone's favor. Even my good friend Nina beside me was praising her.
She's really pretty, Sophia, just like you, a beauty.
She's my sister, just found her.
What?
Maybe my voice wasn't low enough, and the students in front heard it too. Listening to their praises and exclamations, I couldn't feel happy at all. I had nothing to do with her. But how could I show it? I didn't want to live a hard life like her. What if I hated her? She had John and Mary's love. And I didn't care. But now, not having that family affected my plans. The days of senior year passed by slowly and uneventfully. Emily's charm made her quite popular at school. Her excellent grades and outstanding appearance made her a school celebrity. Moreover, she had a title, the sister of the unattainable school beauty, Sophia. She also came from a good family. Unlike me, who was hard to approach, my sister was like an angel descended from heaven. Kind, easy to get along with, a goddess, all these labels started to appear on her.
Naturally, she couldn't stand the things I had. She started to get close to James.
James, the only heir of the Fu family group. His looks were impeccable, making countless girls swoon. People said we were a couple, and in front of him, I would show a loving smile. I would agree to all his requests.
After Emily took my brother away, she naturally started to go after the person I liked, trying to take him away too.
But, oh heavens, he was really just a friend to me. Watching Emily's various antics, I couldn't help but feel like the old man on the subway looking at his phone. And he was truly just a friend, not someone I liked. But seeing James completely side with Emily and start to make things difficult for me, I was still disappointed, almost to the point of tears.
Oh my goodness, if only I had known earlier. Now I have to find someone else. What a hassle.
Ordinary days always need some gossip, don't they? So, after Emily deliberately hinted that I wasn't her biological sister, a storm was stirred up at school. People always slander someone they can't reach with the greatest malice.
I used to like her a lot. How could she be a fake daughter?
Teach her a lesson. How dare she covet our school prince?
Emily and the school prince don't seem to like her at all.
After school, I was surrounded by a few girls. I wanted to run, but two of them stepped forward and firmly grabbed my arms. In a secluded little forest on campus, I was forced to kneel, and the leading girl shoved a phone in my face.
Stop clinging to James, fake daughter.
Whether you believe it or not, I really have nothing to do with him anymore. I won't get in your way.
The girl laughed as if she had heard a joke, and her followers laughed along.
I hate your high and mighty attitude the most. I couldn't do anything to you before, but now, I can. Nobody wants you, ha.
A slap landed on my face. It hurt, but the humiliation was worse.
You!
Before I could finish, fists rained down on me. They were happy, leaving me with one last sentence.
It's not over yet.
Indeed, it wasn't over. Verbal abuse, physical violence. Pouring cold water, locking me in the bathroom, placing nails, punches and kicks. Green tea, scoundrel, fiend. I called my brother. He was busy with a big project.
What's up? Speak quickly.
They're all bullying me at school.
Are you sure it's not your fault? You must have been too unlikable before. I'm very busy right now. Don't cause trouble for me. I told you not to offend others. Control your bad temper, let them vent. Everyone is in senior year who has time to target you. All right, I'm hanging up.
Emily.
What happened? Speak quickly. Did you get her into trouble?
I blinked, forcing back my tears.
Yes, she's been affected.
I'll send someone to handle it right now. You behave yourself.
His tone was harsh, afraid I would drag Emily down. I used all my strength to barely hold my phone steady.
Today is your favorite strawberry cake.
Thank you, brother. You're the best.
How could you be so careless? Does it hurt? You're a grown-up, yet you still cut your hand peeling an apple.
The man glared at me angrily, full of concern. I closed my eyes, pushing all the memories out of my mind. The school bullying subsided, but my best friend Nina betrayed me. It all started when Emily accidentally fell down the stairs while talking to me.
Can you stop bullying Emily? How can you be so cruel? You took her place and still bully her. Now she's almost broken her leg. Are you satisfied? You really are a vicious woman. I was so wrong about you.
I really didn't.
I shouted in despair, trying to grab her hand, to explain. I really didn't push Emily. Her leg wasn't my doing. Her eyes were cold, as if seeing me for the first time.
Do you think I'll believe you again? For the last bit of our friendship, I advise you not to be ungrateful. You don't have any backing now. Don't make me use my means against you.
My heart ached, surrounded by dense fear. I bit my lip stubbornly. I did envy her for having the love of parents that I could never get no matter how hard I tried, but I never did anything to her. The wheels of fate began to turn. Everything I had started to be taken away.
You lived my life for 17 years without a care, and you think you're innocent?
Emily sat in a wheelchair, her eyes like a snake's, sending chills down my spine.
Let my hands fall weakly, my lowered eyes hiding the light within. Had taken things for granted, underestimated, yes, and there was also a bit of Mary's manipulation.
Why do you get to live such a good life while I had to toil and suffer? I want to destroy you.
Emily screamed hysterically. I wished her followers could see her twisted face now. How could she look so malicious? Maybe I was the villain, and she was the innocent protagonist. I looked up and immediately dismissed the thought. Kindness was not an option.
Is that my fault? Blame your dear parents.
Wasn't it your own misfortune? It wasn't because of me. Besides, I didn't experience much parental love either. Emily's eyes widened. Perhaps my words had struck a nerve, and she glared at me with hatred.
Ha, aren't you even more pitiful? Mom and Dad knew you weren't their biological child long ago and were always looking for me. Everything you have is mine.
But if the identity was fake, does that mean everything I have is fake too? I couldn't deny it. Everything was coming true. But how could I let her have her way? I began to fight back. You like to take things? I'll let you take. I lived a prosperous life for 17 years. Then I was told I was not the real daughter. The real daughter came back, and suddenly, I meant nothing to my parents.
Why was it always me who had to suffer? Why did I have to be driven to the brink of madness?
Sophia's thoughts were interrupted by a startling revelation.
Why? What? The real daughter is actually me. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. You're already bankrupt.
Emily lunged at me, her eyes filled with rage.
Is it you? Is it you?
I raised an eyebrow slightly, mouthing the words.
So what if it is?
My arrogance only fueled her anger. Emily took large strides towards me, trying to push me down. I went along with it because I saw David's figure approaching.
What are you doing?
Emily panicked, stepping back and shaking her head. David saw my disheveled state on the ground and looked surprised. 17 years of growing up together, he helped me up.
What's going on?
My sister thinks I brought her adoptive parents here, but I didn't. I really didn't.
Tears slid down my delicate cheeks, evoking sympathy. My haggard appearance and trembling voice all conveyed my innocence. My once bright eyes now dimmed slightly, looking at him with a hint of pleading.
It's her.
Emily's sharp voice rang out.
It's her. It must be her. She just admitted it. Why are you pretending now?
I'm really not pretending, sister. Don't treat me like this. I know you don't like me, but we can find the person who harmed you together.
I looked at David with a heartbroken expression, thinking of my sister. David showed a touched expression but secretly taunted Emily where he couldn't see. Sure enough, her skills were still too shallow. Taking advantage of the moment, she rushed up again, pushing me down and trying to hit me. I looked as if I didn't dare resist, tears hanging at the corners of my eyes. Looking up at a 45-degree angle, the tears wouldn't fall. I firmly believed in this principle. The sun was so cooperative, thank you, sun. Blinding, really blinding. How could anyone not feel sorry for a beautiful woman like me crying? But fate wasn't on my side. Robert and Mary came back and heard the commotion. Of course, they blindly favored Emily.
If it wasn't you, why would Emily accuse you? Isn't it because you usually treat her badly and target her everywhere?
What? You're still not satisfied? Then get out of this house.
With Emily's added embellishments, the couple became even angrier.
This is what you owe her.
We don't have a daughter like you.
I closed my eyes, and this time I shed real tears. Genuine, heartfelt tears. That would be the last straw. I left, with no more attachment. But Emily didn't intend to let me go. I was expelled. My parents weren't real. My best friend betrayed me. My friends distanced themselves from me. How could I be content? Emily wore a white long dress, and as the wind blew, she looked like a fairy descending to the world. Her faint smile and the words she spoke pierced straight to the heart.
Who would dare to help you now?
Sister, that Nina really likes me now.
You can.
I understand. No need to make excuses. It just makes you look more pitiful. Sister, what should I do? I'm so happy.
Even David didn't like you before.
Something snapped inside me, and I thrust the fruit knife from my bag forward. Emily fell. The sight of Emily lying on the ground with blood flowing made the Shin family nearly lose their minds.
Emily, no.
Mary was on the verge of collapse. Robert looked heartbroken. Michael couldn't accept it. The only thing they had in common was their desire to end me.
You deserve to be punished.
I felt like I had fallen into an ice cellar, frozen in the cold snow. This time, no one stood by my side. Emily was in the hospital, her fate uncertain. I was confined in a dimly lit villa. I lived a prosperous life for 17 years. Then I was told I was not the real daughter. The real daughter came back, and suddenly, I meant nothing to my parents. Why was it always me who had to suffer? Why did I have to be driven to the brink of madness? Why? What? The real daughter is actually me. Well, it doesn't matter anymore, you're already bankrupt. If they go bankrupt, considering the people they've offended, they won't have any good days ahead and might even be driven to desperate measures.
Emily is so kind, she definitely won't blame them. When she comes back, they will surely treat her well, even better than before.
Mr. Shun is truly wise and courageous, a true leader.
You're too kind. Too kind.
Robert forced a smile but didn't avoid my gaze. Interesting, truly interesting. I spread my hands, my raised eyebrows showing my good mood.
Naturally, this is a society governed by law. Then I'll step back, wish you all a pleasant life. The choice between power and family.
I gracefully walked out of my grand mansion.
Isn't this the eldest Miss Shin? Why are you still kneeling?
Emily glared at me with anger. Of course, she could kneel there properly because of my bodyguards. After all, unauthorized people are not allowed in. I stood above her, enjoying the moment.
Oh dear, are you healed? Oh, still want to cry? That little face looks so pitiful, but your dear parents have abandoned you, right?
I patted her little face. She tried to turn her head, but couldn't avoid it and just stared at me fiercely.
They haven't abandoned me.
But if she didn't come, her future life would be no different from her past life. Just being humiliated, thinking about continuing her high and mighty life in the future, she endured it. Still a bit of pride left? Being the eldest miss for 2 years made her forget. The life in the abyss was not easy. All kinds of punishments Emily had never seen were inflicted on her one by one. Beaten, humiliated. I just watched with my eyes wide open. I was so excited I almost trembled.
It felt like I was a villain, and Emily was the favored one.
I was caught. My once powerful identity was reported and I was arrested. Justice prevails, and no one escapes the law. Indeed, just as I told the Shin family, this is a society governed by law.
At that time, I was watching Emily struggling in the water. The police suddenly burst in. I was honored with handcuffs.
I had been careful when tormenting Emily, but I slipped up at home. And the expensive security I paid for, what were they doing? I couldn't understand, I just couldn't understand. Everything happened so quickly and bizarrely. The injury report came out, and I waited for a visit in jail.
Sorry, Miss Shin, you are too young, and you didn't keep your promise, so we can only use your leverage as a price.
Ha! Indeed I didn't keep my promise first, but how do you know I won't get out of here?
There will be no chance.
That day was really a good day. After Charles left, the 4 members of the Shin family arrived. No, Thomas was also behind them. My heart skipped a beat. Emily had already been tormented by me to the point of fear. As soon as they came in, her gentle expression had already twisted. Thomas held her, gently patting her to comfort her. The woman slowly calmed down, raising a happy smile.
If only you were really my daughter. Such talent would have been a great asset to the Shin family.
I don't deserve it. You never treated me as your real daughter.
What about your brother? He treated you well before, didn't he?
Just like you, he stood by Emily's side without hesitation, even though I was the one who had always been by your side. Things that are too easily taken away are not precious.
You didn't expect it, did you? Thomas likes me, not as you said. The fact is, Thomas later realized he still loved this charming woman. It just so happened that there was an opportunity to join forces to take down DFG and play the hero saving the beauty. He wanted both power and the beauty.
I won't let you have a good life.
Ha ha ha, are you scared? I'll repay you 1,000 times for what you did to me.
In prison? Prison is much dirtier.
As if already seeing my miserable state, Emily laughed unrestrainedly.
What? Still pretending? I hate your aloof and indifferent demeanor the most.
Just don't let me find a chance to get out.
Even though I knew in my heart I would never get out again. But who wouldn't say harsh words? The old man was already gone, and so many people in DFG were eyeing the opportunity, they would only step on it harder. I lived a prosperous life for 17 years. Then I was told I was not the real daughter. The real daughter came back, and suddenly, I meant nothing to my parents.
Why was it always me who had to suffer? Why did I have to be driven to the brink of madness?
Why? What? The real daughter is actually me. Well, it doesn't matter anymore, you're already bankrupt. The white walls, the room filled with the smell of disinfectant.
Drink some water.
As I looked at the water on the table, Mary handed it to me.
Drink slowly, are you feeling better?
I had a vacant expression, like a rag doll. It took a long time for my consciousness to gradually return. This time, I was truly awake. I was indeed the real heiress, the true heiress who had been found not long ago. I had mental issues, my mind often became confused. But now I was very clear-headed, I could distinguish what was real and what was not. I remembered. After being taken away, I was sold to an ordinary family. A few years later, that couple had a new child and didn't pay much attention to me. Although life wasn't great, at least I had enough to eat and wear. Until I was 13, I was taken again, this time sold to a poor mountainous area. To be a child bride for a family with a mentally challenged son. That place was very poor, and almost all the brides were bought from outside. I only found out much later. Because I couldn't get out, I stayed in that small world. Most of the time, no one talked to me. That couple demanded that I take good care of their son. How could I be willing to live such a life? I resisted, only to be met with violence. Please let me go back, I can give you money, please. I knelt, the old concrete floor was already wet.
Stay here obediently. When my son grows up, you'll be his wife.
Bah, little wretch, you'd better behave or you'll suffer.
The man's wife kicked me down.
Don't think about escaping if you don't want to be harmed. Just behave.
Who wouldn't try to escape? I tried to escape at night, when it was dark and everyone was asleep. The door was locked. The noise alerted the couple next door.
Can't you be quiet at night?
They're all like this at first. Just teach her a lesson. Every family is the same.
Tears mixed with my cries. It was extremely miserable. The woman pinched my face. The smell of her yellowed teeth made me uncomfortable.
Didn't I tell you the consequences of running away? Next time I'll break your legs. No one can escape from this village.
The devilish voice seemed to be in my ear. I was tied up, next to a thick pillar. Rusty chains bound my legs, a metal bowl was placed in front of me.
Wife! Wife! Food! Food!
He was short, fat, and dirty, with an unnatural expression on his face. He swayed left and right, holding a bowl of scarce porridge, his thick black fingers dipping into it. My heart felt cold, but I still held on to a glimmer of hope. Daniel, can you help me untie this?
Untie? Untie?
He seemed confused, tilting his head to look at me. His eyes suddenly turned fierce, and he threw the bowl to the ground with a clang.
Untie! Go! Want to go! Did!
A person with his condition wouldn't pay attention to the force of his actions. I only heard wife, go, hit. I saw the couple rush to the door, then coldly watched the scene, nodding occasionally. It hurt, it really hurt, why did it have to be like this? My consciousness completely scattered. In that house, I couldn't escape. So I started planning my next escape. I began to pretend to be obedient, as if I had given in, helping with chores and taking care of Daniel. They gradually relaxed, allowing me to go out to work in the fields. I felt the opportunity was coming, but I couldn't make it too obvious. On the 5th time out to work, I started to make a detailed plan. I learned the nearby map. From the house, turn right for 500 meters to reach the fields. Many families worked there, but there was a short period at noon when there were the fewest people. The scorching sun shone on this poor village. From the outside, it looked like people were working hard, peaceful and harmonious. Who knew the inside of the village was already rotten? The time came. I started to tremble with nervousness, but my feet didn't slow down. I sped up, heading towards the town. There was no one on the road. I thought I was going to succeed. As long as I reached a place with no people, I could walk slowly, all the way to the town. Looking at the barren mountains, with green only in the distance, I was disappointed. No cover, no good hiding places. I had to be faster. Why didn't Lady Luck favor me? A man appeared, I had seen him before, he was from the village. Don't see me, please don't see me. I found a rock and curled up behind it. But it was already too late. He was coming towards me, and I suddenly got up and started running. I was so nervous that I could only hear my own heartbeat. An adult's speed was not something I could outrun.
Are you the one meant to be Daniel's wife? Go back.
I turned around. The sunlight was bright, the sky was very blue, but it cast a shadow on people's faces. On the desolate land, a group of people rushed over, men and women alike, strangely excited. Why were they excited? What were they excited about?
Your child is disobedient at such a young age, but she can still be corrected, unlike mine who tried to run even after hurting herself.
Ha ha, disobedient? Just discipline her until she behaves.
Look, has anyone ever managed to run away?
Daniel's family, you need to discipline her more.
Linda looked angry and embarrassed.
It was just because I wasn't paying attention. There won't be a next time.
A slap landed. Richard's face darkened, stopping his wife.
Discipline her at home. Don't embarrass me. I can't even keep an eye on a little girl, losing face in the village.
A large hand grabbed my arm, squeezing tightly.
All right, everyone, it's midday. Let's all go back.
Make sure to watch her closely. Don't let her run out again.
Without a beating, there was no good show to watch, and people looked disappointed.
Run again, and you'll never get out.
A man kicked me, my head hit the floor, and my whole body lay flat on the ground.
Daniel, your wife tried to run. What are you going to do?
A gentle voice, but to me, it sounded like the devil's whisper.
Beat her, beat her.
He got more excited as he spoke, hitting and laughing at the same time.
Wife, don't run!
A terrifying fool, his ugly face even more hideous. They were a family. Maybe I forgot the pain after healing, but I tried to run a few more times. During one severe beating, I seemed to lose track of who I was. Sometimes, in a daze, I still wanted to escape. In the end, I lost my sanity. They said I became a fool, just like Daniel. Sometimes I was clear-headed. But I could hardly distinguish reality from fantasy anymore. I fantasized about escaping, smiling, but when I opened my eyes, I was still in this hell. In a dark, dilapidated house, a girl held a broken key. It was her only hope to unlock the light. But it was broken, it couldn't fit into the lock. Something big happened in the village. Someone drove a car here. I sat on a small stool at the door, watching the people in front of me walk over one by one. There was laughter, but what did it turn into? I tried hard to discern. The sound of fighting. A group of people walked over. A beautiful woman rushed in front of me, crying and hugging me.
I am your mother.
Mom. Mom? Why can't I make a sound? Isn't there a mother already? Various doctors were rushing to the villa.
The patient's condition is very serious. We can only try to improve it.
The woman, still graceful, and the man, still gentle, were now sitting on the sofa, looking haggard.
If we had found her earlier, no, if we hadn't lost her.
The woman was emotional, gripping the man's hand tightly, her fingernail marks red and prominent. The man said nothing, covering his face with his other hand, lowering his head, muttering apologies. The TV broadcast reported that a certain village had been confirmed as a human trafficking village. Dozens of girls who had gone missing were found again, with 30 still present. 2 young girls who had wandered in to sketch, women who had been assimilated, girls who had been sold, escapees who had been beaten down. In the exquisite house, the woman muttered like a madwoman. The scars on her hands gradually faded, but the scars would never disappear.